Good day everyone, we are the Group 8 reporters, and in this video we are going to tackle about grassroots fundraising. What are the objective of this topic? We can know the importance of grassroots fundraising in an organization, explain some grassroots activities, and initiate some grassroots activities that are acceptable in the people of the community. Now we will discuss first some important terms or words that we need to understand, such as grassroots, fundraising, and funding sources. So what is the meaning of grassroots? Grassroots is the basic level of an activity or organization. So it refers to the fundamental or the primary source of something, particularly the common individual living in a country, an association, a trade, and etc. The usage of the idiom, like for example, today the average member of political party is usually meant rather than the leadership or an elite. It implies that the common individual is the primary cause or the origin why a certain politician succeeds in running for an office. So, the grassroots is the voters of a certain community. So the term grassroots efforts, grassroots movements, grassroots campaign are commonly described as a political or social effort that uses ordinary people in a certain community as the basis. The term grassroots has been used approximately 1900. So the illusion there is very simple, as the roots is the one of the foundation of the growth of the plants or the plant's growth. The next is, what is fundraising? Is the process of seeking and gathering voluntary financial contributions by engaging individuals, businesses, charitable foundation. It could be profit or non-profit activities depending on its. It is means giving financial gift from the work of your charity does. That includes money. This money pays for your charitable services. This is one of the acts of fundraising. This work directly benefits to the people, to the environment, or to the wildlife, and it finances the cost of providing these services. So that is the meaning of fundraising. So for me, fundraising is very important because it enables us to hear what is happening to our country, what is happening to our environment, or it educates us about social issues. At, and it is a link that brings people together to get involved to a certain situation. Like, for example, like Mr. Bill Gates. Did you know that Mr. Bill Gates founded one of the Singaporean company that turns poop into a drinking water? And Mr. Bill Gates funded 4 billion dollars for COVID vaccinations. So the next is, what is funding sources? Funding sources are sources to finance a need, program, project. A source of funding includes credit, ventures capitals, donation, grants, taxes, subsidies. So, the term funding sources refers to the source of funds used by a certain charity, institutions, or foundation. It is through debt, grants, charitable contribution, taxes, and etc. Now let us discuss one of the funding sources, which is the individual donors. So when you donate or when people donated something, it is comes from their heart, not from their brain. So it is your responsibility as a nonprofit needs to demonstrate that it is a good steward of donors to fund, and that you track, or that you can track where all the generosity that goes. So it is your appeal that needs to be more than just a list or a pie chart. A wide range of donors comes from an individual donors who make yearly or monthly contribution to businesses that fund a particular events. Every type of donors will have a distinct motivation for giving, or why they give that certain money, or why they donate on that certain charity. So it is your responsibility as a nonprofit to identify this cause and develop a fundraising strategy that meets the needs or the demands of the donors. Like in the case of the world most richest man, Mr. Bill Gates. He donated $500 million for the struggling charity, that the charity that help to those people who have AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis.
So, major donors. Sometimes a non-profit venture can begin with a large cash infusion from a single major donor. This is great to get a non-profit from this idea to pace the implementation. If you started out this way, or you currently rely on a single major donor for funding, think and plan carefully for the point at which you will need to transition to funding sources. So kani si major donors kay mao ni sila ang mga tao nga dato, which is nga mudunit sila sa usa ka organisasyon, pero kani si major donors panagsara ni sila nga mo donate, which is it take a 1 year. So for example, kani si naay organisasyon na siya naay usa ka event nga usa ka event nga i-held nimo, which is kailangan nimo og amount. So kani si major donors di jud ni siya pataka og hatag og kwarta or mo donate og kwarta nga para lang iwalda sa og asa. Kailangan ikaw nga nag-held ka og event, dapat you have a proposal with them, which is mo offer kanila kung kung makaganahan ka sila sa imuhang i-propose, which is kato nga imong gusto nga amount nga ihatag nila, imo to siya ihatag. Pero kani si major donors manggod panagsara ni siya sa usa ka tuig kasi ni siya may tabo nga kung pila ang imuhang gusto nga ipadonate nila, muhatag na sila, mao ni siya si major donors. Regular donors usually give more frequently, but their gifts are smaller in size. They often make up the majority of the donor base and can be quite diverse in age, socioeconomic background, and interest. This is why it's crucial to collect and analyze data about your donor base. To cultivate regular donors, you will likely have to employ a multitude to donor acquisition and donor retention techniques. Regular donors are either one-off donors or recurring donors. Many non-profit experts recommend that you get regular donors to become recurring donors. This provides your non-profit with sustained income and therefore allows you to better plan your activities. So kani man gud si regular donors, opposite ni siya ni major donors, diba? Si major donors kay kani siya muhatag na sila og amount if naa kay i-propose nila nga kani mo nimong gusto nga amount imuhang ipahatag or donate nila, kung maginahan sila sa imong i-propose is muhatag sila. Pero kani mo si major donors, diba? Si major donors kay usara siya katuig nga muhatag, di siya permi. Kani si regular donors permi ni siya. which is gagmay lang iyang ipanghatag, di parehas sa major donors kay dinagko jud pang millionaires, pang million. Kani si regular donors pwede ra magagmay, pwede ra madagko, at least na ay na donate, which is if naa kay event nga i-held nimo, then kailangan nimo og money para ma-implement to nimo, dili ma-implement nga imong ipa-show sa mga tao nga kanimo ni imo ang event ikay napatukod ana, so kailangan man nimo og kwarta, which is mangita ka og donors nga mo donate sa imuha og kwarta para sa imong i-held nga event. So kani sa regular donors bisag pila okay ra jud kaayo, unlike ni kato si major donors kay grabe jud to siya og standard kay kailangan pa ka na i-propose kung maginahan sila, at least kato man gud si major donors kay dinagko na gid yaha. Adin kani si regular donors kay mga ginagmay ra nga event nang di man ingon nga ginagmay ka na mga ginagmay ra panghatag, pero okay ra, di ba? Sabot ra.
Let's talk about the types of individual donors. So we have here fee for service. So fee for service. Many nonprofits, depending on what they're offering, so simply must charge at least a sliding scale fee to cover either the services or goods they are providing. So for example, include certain or public health clinics. So you may also consider a sliding scale or prices based on the recipient's income. So consider if this is a possibility for your nonprofit, but do your research and keep your beneficiaries in mind. Will they be willing to pay the price you set? So fee for service is a payment model in which like for example sa mga doctors, hospitals, and also mga medical practices charge separately for each service they perform. So this type of individual donors is the fee for service. So next we have here alumni. So alumni is a type also of individual donors. So this funding source works particularly well for organizations such as universities and hospitals that serve a large community with a high turnover. So if your nonprofit or organization serves a large group of people that pass through a benefit from it frequently and constituently, it might be that they would like to give back and help others receive the same benefit or assistance that they did. So alumni, it is a scholarship, no? So scholarship to current students, which is alumni gifts, are used especially to help current students. So this alumni funded scholarship help more students. So mao na siya, ang mga alumni is kato mga graduated na sa usa ka universities. So mao na pud sila ang mo-give back sa mga current students, no? Mao na pud sila mo kuan sa kanang scholarship mo share na po. So that is part of the alumni. Okay, next is a volunteer. So volunteers, according to nonprofit source, approximately 63 million people, which 25% of the adult population. So volunteer their time, volunteer their talents and energy to making a difference. So while volunteer hours aren't technically a funding stream, your organization might want to view it as one. So for example, volunteer hours can reduce the amount funding you need to raise for a particular program service. So volunteers, I know this is an understandable recognition. So volunteers are a voluntary contribution, which means a contribution given freely giving freely, no? So walay pinagsanay, voluntary lang mo donate or give their donations without pressuring them, without coercion. So part of a that is part or types of individual donors. Now let's proceed to online and offline donations. So in online and offline donations, you are receive individual donations from online or offline. So while online fundraising grows day by day and more individuals seek information online, don't be quick to dismiss traditional fundraising. So the best results are usually seen when you combine both traditional and modern fundraising techniques. So in online fundraising, there are some kinds of online fundraising. So first, it is a website. Okay, and website in online fundraising, when you're not running a specific campaign, your website is your best bet because it's the permanent home to your online fundraising effort. So it's crucial to invest time and effort to make your website and online donation page shine. So an online fundraising website is, for example, I am selling t-shirt worth of 500 each using websites. So the 70% of the profit will go directly to this certain charity. So that is an example about fundraising via website. Okay, next is we have a peer-to-peer fundraising. This is also an example of online fundraising. So this strategy encourages supporters to reach out to their peers, friends, co-workers, and family members for donations. So peer-to-peer Peer-to-peer fundraising is effective because it builds on relationships, uses your already existing donor space. So peer-to-peer fundraising also works well because it's exponential, and all the individual campaigns by your supporters ripple outwards and bring in more donors. So in peer-to-peer fundraising, okay, so this kind of fundraising is quite effective because most of our friends won't hesitate to lend on, because aside from being friends, they are close to your heart and they can trust you because you are their friend. So next is we have also here a um, online fundraising through email. So um, email marketing is the most effective way for nonprofits to build awareness, acquire leads, raise funds, and retain current donors. So email marketing services are generally free for smaller nonprofits. And even when the email list grows in size, email marketing remaining very cost effective. And furthermore, email marketing tools have become so intuitive with professionally designed templates, drag and drop features, and other easy to use editors. So compared to other type of fundraising, email marketing acquires customers, donors, and volunteers faster. Emails are also easy, customized, personalized. So email online fundraising through email is a bit effective for me because the person who is reading the email cannot see the emotion you are in. Email fundraising is indeed easy to compose and forwarding it to many, but the thing is most of us ignore email fundraising because there's a lot of scam that we can receive through email. So, and lastly, we have here monthly giving, an online fundraising through monthly giving. So, monthly giving, otherwise known as recurring giving, so reigns supreme. Although big donations are valuable and should still be pursued, recurring giving programs provide a reliable source of income for your nonprofit. So that's why developing a great monthly giving program is a great investment that can have a tremendous impact on the long-term financial health of your organization. So monthly giving, guys, is kanang mao ni siya ang mga tao nga nag-choose or nag-avail sa monthly fundraising, no? So most of them is kana mga benefactors, no? Kana who commit to give their monthly obligation to give. So that's all the part of online fundraising. So let's proceed to offline fundraising. In offline fundraising, so we have here direct mail or solicitation letters. So in this kind of offline fundraising, method is still used by nonprofits since it's still effective for certain donor segments. So it's particularly useful for smaller nonprofits or nonprofits that operate locally. So additionally, older donors are more likely to prefer direct mail. So if your nonprofit has an older donor pool, you could find direct mail highly effective. So this is the way on how to give monetary solicitation via direct mail or solicitation letter in offline fundraising. Next, we have here uh, events. Fundraising through events has become increasingly popular in the nonprofit community. So whether a nonprofit is hosting a walk-a-thon, gala dinner, art exhibition, mga concert, or a field day, no, or a hike-a-thon, events provide a venue by which donors and potential donors can interact in person and learn more about the organization. So mo na siya kanang way of monetary solicitation through kanang mga events, kanang mga concert, no. So naamo dyan ay kanang kung mag-concert is naamo dyan ay mga kanang mga entrance fee, no. So mao na sila ilang way of kanang fundraising through kanang events. So through door to door. So although door-to-door fundraising has diminished over the years due to its resource-intensive nature, so it's still utilized successfully by many organizations, so especially mga political organizations. So door-to-door solicitation in general works best for campaign or program that directly affect the people being approached. So it can be targeted in terms of audience, which reduces donor attrition. So door-to-door canvassing enables a one-on-one face-to-face interaction with potential donors, constituents that is unattainable through direct mail, email, and internet. So next we have here phone solicitations, no. So they doing monetary solicitation through phone. Ila nang i-text nila through GM, no, para sa tanan. So mao na ang example sa phone solicitation through phone message. So phone solicitations are donation requests made over the phone, ranging from one employee making a couple of thank you calls to large telemarketing campaigns. So like sa kanang para same ra siya sa door-to-door fundraising. So this technique has diminished over the years as online fundraising grows, but it can still be effective for some non-profits. Lastly, we have here offline fundraising through text to give. So no, kanang same ra jud na siya ang offline fundraising. So ang text to give is the text donations are donations that donors can make via their mobile phone. So usually is kanang ang mga donors is kana i-text ra na nila kung kuan pila ang amount sa mga dedicated number. They are then usually sent the link to the organization's mobile responsive donation page. So text to give is easy and convenient. So donations by text are somewhat like impulse purchase, which means that nonprofits don't have to capture donors' attention for very long. So and that's all. I hope you have understand about the online and offline fundraising. So in my opinion, among them all, the most effective way of fundraising is the offline fundraising, is door to door, with because it has with written letters. So aside from seeing you in person, you have the monetary solicitation on the spot directly from the donor. So that's all. Thank you.
Fundraising sources, grants. Nonprofit can apply the grants from the government at local, state, and federal level, as well as private and public foundation. Generally, you are not required to repay and money awarded to you through a grant. In almost every country in the world, in order to be awarded a grant, your organization needs to have charitable nonprofit status. There are 5 main types in grant giving organization. First is government. The government body of a nation, state, or community, or the act or process of governing, specifically authoritative direction or control. Second one is a public charities. Public charities, generally organizations that are classified as public charities, are those that are churches, hospitals, qualified medical research organization affiliated with hospitals, schools, colleges, and universities have an active program or of fundraising and receive contribution from many sources.
The community foundation, mao ni siya ang mga tao nga mo grant sila donation sa healthcare agencies, sa mga fraternities, clubs, and social services group. And then lastly is next is family foundation. Kani si family foundation is dapat parents jud ang motulog spiritual values to their children for able them to get a better individuals and for able them to make the worlds better. And then lastly is private foundation. It is ang private foundation is paghatag ani og donation, which is nag-establish og foundation sa by individual, which is ang family, corporation to support charitable activities. So for example, kani si private foundation is kailangan di jud siya kanang asa lang kamo kuha og donation, which is gikan lang jud sa kana gani imuha, which is what is kanang specific galon nimo i-health nimo nga event. Then dapat ang kuan man gud ani niya is charitable activities jud, which is mag-depend sa donation sa parents, sa corporation. Mao na siya. So fundraising sources. So corporate sponsorship. Corporate sponsorship can be an excellent source of funding for nonprofits. Corporations are usually kept to partner on projects to improve their philanthropic image or to work on becoming a more socially responsible organization. Corporate social responsibility, or CSR, is more important than ever as consumers have become more likely to buy from socially responsible companies. So, I will give you an example. A company owner seeing you a potential, which they give which they give you an offer to promote their product. So for example, kani siya ang gitagaan kanilang offer nga sponsorship, which gahatag sila og kwarta nimo nga kani nga, for example, kani siya nga product imo ni siya i-promote nimo siya, kani akong gigamit sa mga before to disinfect our hands. So which ako nga sikat kay ko nga pagka-artista niya, gitagaan ko nga company sa clean, I don't know the pronunciation, and then the company of clean they give me a money to promote their product. So ay lagi ako nga sikat kay ko nga pagka-artista, ako nang gi-promote ninyo. So si Venus was skin kay kanang mo ito yung gigamit nga alcohol pa disinfect kumot ko noon, so dapat papalit sa taato, which so kana siya nga corporate sponsorship, dili sila maka-benefit sa ako, dili sila maka-benefit nako nga artista ko, which nga sa laing tao nga kamo nga tao nga tan-aw nga nipalit animo, dito sila maka-benefit, dili nako. Kay ang kaning corporate sponsorship kay dili sila gag-give og donation nako, dili kay ako ga-promote ko product diha sa inyo, which ang company diha sila maka-benefits ninyo kay ni kuan mo ni palit mo ani. So sa ang corporate sponsorship dili siya donation nako or something ana. So kuan ni sila kanang promoting a product nga ana, ay gamit si Venus sa skin ato, so dapat ato tong paliton. So which kato siya maka-benefit ang company diha ninyo kay lagi ni palit money. So sabtan ra. So give another example, Andrea Brillantes, and so the Brilliant Skin owner give a sponsorship to Andrea Brillantes. For example, Rejob gigamit niya. So kay lagi si Andrea Brillantes, di ba noon kay famous siya, popular siya nga person, nga popular teenager sa mga teenager celebrity rather. So ilhado kay siya. So ang katuyang gigamit nga Rejob nga teenager sa parihan nato, ay may ganyo nga mo gamit ato kay gigamit sa biyan ni Andrea. So katong Brilliant Skin naghatag na siya og kwarta ni Andrea. So means si Andrea wala gipagawas kwarta nga nihatag sa ni Brilliant, wala. So means si Brilliant owner ang nihatag ni Andrea para i-promote ang katong nga Brilliant Skin, which i-promote ni Andrea diha sa mga tao nga kanimo niyang gagamit. So kay lagi sikat si Andrea, ihanggi kuan na kuan gud siya million viewers. So kato si Brilliant Skin maka-benefits to siya sa mga viewers nga nipalit sa Rejob. So dito ra mabalik ra gani kay, pero ang kaning sponsorship dili siya ingon nga donation na kuan sila, they take risk to give money to the artist to promote their product. So that's it. So corporate support comes in many forms. So philanthropic, no string attached donation similar to individual giving. So I'll give you on differences between philanthropic and sponsorship. The sponsorship, it is giving sponsor to an artist which the artist promote their product. And also while the philanthropic, it is all about donation, to give money to those people who needy, to give money to the orphanage, the charitable, and also to the street people and the homeless. So the second is event sponsorship, episodic or short-term support, typically event-based. So kani si event sponsorship, for example, si The Voice of the Philippines sa TV is final na nila, announcing na of announcing nga sa mga 15 makadaog sa first, second, and third. So, kana siya, ang true, diba, sa ilang votation kay true text si kuan, true text ilang vote, ang kanin mo vote, kuan niya vote, kuan na. So, kani siya si event sponsorship, for example, si Smart and si Globe, ni hatag og sponsor dito ni The Voice of the Philippines. Kung 15 nakadaog ato, muhat ka ng maoti makadawat sa price kana manggod kay kaning gud sa event sponsorship, muhatag sila kwarta nga mabalik pod nila. Sabot mo, muhatag sila og kwarta nga mabalik nila. So kani for example, di pa true text. So true text sana niya katong mga tao mo palit og laing mga SIM para lang mo vote sa ilahang gusto. So mo to, muhatag ang si Globe og kuan ni The Voice, din si The Voice then si ang mga tao nga nitan-aw sa The Voice nga true mo vote sila kung kinsa makadaog, kung kinsa sila gina makadaog, mo palit sila og SIM dito nila ni Globe ug ni Smart. So mabalik ra ang kwarta. So gets. Then the cost of marketing, longer term thematic engagement. Kung kani si cost marketing kay for example, an event siya ha. Kani si cost marketing kay mura ga siya kanang giving strategic to the kuan nga musugot nga mo kuan sila mo hatag og sponsor mo ni siya. Then si pro bono, corporate professional offering the expertise or services, kuan ni siya kanang it is a free services. For example, ang atong town diri sa Minglanilla nag-offer sila og free services sa free check-up of eye, the ECG of the heart, the dental thought check-up or whatever. So mo na siya for example sa pro bono. So matching gifts, when corporation match donation by the employees, for example, so ang employee nag-vote sila nga kanig kung kinsa gayto magka-match gali magkadaggan mo to siya kung kinsa mo labaw mo sa tuang, for example, kanang ang imuha ang ka-match nimo kay kanang giving ang amount nga nag-match ninyo kay 20,000, so ma 40,000 to siya. Then next, the paid release, when companies employ a few paid release days each year, allowing an employee or many employees to spend a day or two volunteering regular works hours. So, for example, holiday siya. And then, so, ang kanang holiday nga imong trabahoan is ma-double pay ka sa imong regular hours. For example, 8 hours ka for 435. So, ang imong adlaw, mahimo siya og i-times 2 to nimo siya ang 435 mo to ang imong adlaw. So, in-kind gifts, when companies give product donation rather than cash contribution. For example, kanang mga holidays, di ba naman na yung mga kanang panghatong mga bugas or magdepende sa company kung cash ba lang ihatag or mga bugas or kanang mga ham or spaghetti or depende na sa company. And then sa checkout campaigns, consumer give at cash register when checking out. So that's it. Fundraising membership fees. This non-profit funding source won't necessarily work for every type for non-profit, but it's worth looking at. This non-profit funding source is particularly effective if your non-profit can offer exclusively programs or benefit to its members. So, I will give you an example. Sa example sa mga PC, like mga Natasha, Yvonne, diba? Naman ay uban nga kanagani mapautang ka og kanang mga item. So, before ka musud gali ana nila nga organization or kana ilaha nga company is you need to kanang pay fees for able you to be a member. So mao na siya di siya ingon nga kapital, which is kanang ni bayad kanila para ma-member kanila og makapamaligya ka sila mga product, then dira ka makabenepisyo sa ilaha if nakabaligya ka nila product. So that's it.
Selling goods and services. Another funding source your nonprofit can consider is selling goods and services. This funding source is subject to many regulations. For example, you can sell branded goods to bring revenue to your organization. These items typically include clothes, bags, mugs, cookies, and many others. So, selling goods and services is kanang mamaligya kag mga gamit. For example, mamaligya kag t-shirt sa usa ka events, then ang halin ato kay imong gamiton sa usa ka organization. So, kanang just like sa mong gibuhat sa una, kay kuwang man among kwarta para sa Dagita Festival. So, ang gibuhat sa among school, sa among teachers, kay na maligya mig mga gamit. Then, ang halin nato sa mga items nga among gipambaligya, mga accessories, mga sapatos, kay among gigamit para sa among Dagita Festival, among gipuno. So, another examples of selling goods and services is selling tickets to events, creating and selling publications. So, pwede sad ka ng maninda kag tickets sa usa ka events para ang katong halin ato magamit to nimo sa usa ka organization. In-kind donations will not be helpful to every type of non-profit but can be invaluable source of support for non-profits like animal shelters, homeless shelters, safe houses, or humanitarian relief organizations. So other fundraising ideas, it could be raffle draws, songs, bingo contest, concert and performances, old books, selling, and many others. So, sa in-kind donation, kay it is a kind of charitable giving in which instead of giving money to buy needed goods and services, the goods and services themselves are given. Gifts in kind are distinguished from cash or stock. Some types of gifts in kind are appropriate, but others are not. Examples of in-kind gifts includes goods like food, shelters, medicine, clothes, and many others.